Hello! My name is Second 814, and I just got back from seeing Crimson Peak. Yes, the new horror movie by Guillermo del Toro. Now, let me just start off by saying if you go into this video expecting a horror movie, you will be disappointed. This movie is, in fact, not a horror movie. It's a gothic romance slash mystery movie. Yeah. So, did I like this movie? Yes, I did. I mean, I liked it, but I definitely think it could have been better. I mean, maybe I set my expectations too high, considering the fact that it is a Guillermo del Toro movie. No offense to him. I love him. I love his stuff. Hellboy, Hellboy 2. Two great movies. These, but I don't know. I guess maybe I would as one blah, blah, blah. Excuse me. I guess maybe I was somebody who wasn't expecting a horror movie. And let me just say this is if your movie isn't a horror movie, don't advertise it as one. Because the trailers make this movie look like there are ghosts everywhere in this movie. And there's not. But they're not everywhere. I mean, yeah, there are ghosts in it, but they're just not the main focus of it, like the trailers make it out to be. So yeah, basic plot of this movie. The basic plot of this movie is that there's a girl by the name of Edith who has just written a. Well, I shouldn't say she just written. I was about to say she had just written a novel, but that's not accurate. She has written a manuscript about a story, or how she is writing a manuscript about a story that involves ghosts, or as she puts it, a ghost. So yeah, she lives in America, uh, in Buffalo, New York. Or well, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. You know, so basically, the movie starts out at her mother's funeral. Well, when apparently her mother was taken by black collar, I think she said. Head, I'm not sure. So, yeah, it starts at her mother's funeral, and it cuts to her in bed, and after the funeral, in which her mother's ghost comes back to warn her, beware of Crimson Peak. So yeah, ah. But anyways, then we cut to 14 years later, where she is a grown woman, but still lives with her father in Buffalo, New York. So yeah, she's and basically now she's written a manuscript, or is writing a manuscript, or I guess a story or a novel, about a a go. Well, I shouldn't say a ghost story. She puts it a story with a ghost in it, as I said earlier. So yeah, she lives with her father in Buffalo, New York. Her father is a businessman, and of sorts. I shouldn't say of sorts. He is a businessman, and 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 basically he's a man by the name of Sir Thomas Sharp shows up from England to propose an idea on how for an invention he has on how to mine red clay. But he gets turned down because he doesn't actually have, because all he really has is a scale model. Well, he doesn't have a working full-scale prototype. Type. Type. So yeah, he gets turned down. Down. by Mr. Thomas, no, oh, by Edith's father. So then, basic, and there is a ball or a party. Yeah, it's a ball. Well, actually, no, I shouldn't call it a ball. It's basically a party. That Edith originally he doesn't want to go to with her father. So her father goes to the ball, but then, and while she's at home working on her manuscript, who shows up? Mr. Thomas Sharp, and asks, and basically he has to help him find the party. So he takes it. So he shows up. Sorry, neck cramp. So he shows up at the party with Edith, and basically he has her perform a waltz with him. Well, I shouldn't use air quotes because it is a waltz. So in order to teach the Americans how to waltz properly. But of course, Edith's father doesn't necessarily like. Well, I'm just sorry, I jumped ahead. At the scene with the party, we're introduced to Thomas's sister, Lucille, or Lady Lucy Sharp. Dang it. Sorry for this, but yes. So he teaches the American crowds how to waltz, but of course, but Edith's father doesn't exactly have the best feelings about him, so he hires an investigator to find out all he can about Mr. Sir Thomas Sharp, excuse me. So, when the investigator turns up evidence that makes the father suspicious. Well, actually, he turned evidence that basically Sir Thomas Sharp is already married. At least that's what I got. He basically writes them a check. Well, he writes here Sir Thomas and his sister Lucille a check. Tells him he wants them on the earliest train into England, and he also wants Thomas to break his daughter's heart, which Thomas does in a very, very good way. So yes, it's the next day, and we see Edith's father getting ready for a day of business. This I get in a gentleman's club of washroom, I think. And so he's basically getting ready, but then he hears somebody, goes to investigate, and leaves the sink on. So goes to investigate, doesn't see anyone, comes back, and find the sink on and overflowing. So he goes to turn the sink off, but then and is attacked by and murdered by a mysterious figure. So yes, it's in the morning now that and Thomas Sharp has supposedly gone back to England, and Edith is asleep in her bed, and her servant drops off her manuscript, and a letter by Thomas Sharp telling her exactly her father's conditions. So she goes to the hotel where Thomas was staying, and his sister was staying, I should say, but they've already checked out. But then Thomas approaches her in the lobby, and they share a kiss in the no. He approaches her in the hallway. I'm sorry, and they share a kiss. But then when they get down to the lobby, they find and the father's lawyer, as well as the police officer, and that's when they go to the morgue in order to make a of identification on Edith's father, as it's implied that they basically delivered the bad news to Edith, and since Edith's father is now dead, and yeah, she has nowhere to go. He marries Thomas Sharp. She goes with him to his house in England, Idella Hall, I think that's what it's called. And it's basically this grand, majestic hall. And so basically, she arrives there, and here where Lucille is waiting, and she basically instantly starts having. Well, I shouldn't say instantly, but she does start having experiences as soon as she arrives. Hives. So yeah, we see a scene with her bath, and you don't see anything else revealed. Ooh. And where she sees a ghost in the. Well, she doesn't see the ghost there, but we do see a ghost. Ghost. Then, and we have, and basically, there are several scenes where she sees several ghosts, and all the while, Thomas is basically working on his prototype. Yes, there's an actual prototype. So yeah. So she's seeing ghosts. I said all the while, Thomas's sister Lucille has been making her tea, because that's what they drink over in England. Let's be honest. That's the me. Well, I shouldn't say that. That's just being stereotypical and very typical there. But I guess they drank it a lot in the olden times, so they've been making her tea. So Lucille makes her tea while Thomas works. It's on his invention. And yes, when she arrives, Thomas does tell her to never go below the ground level, or the first floor of the hall. So, she's basically having experiences there while she's there. Excuse me. She's having experiences while she's there, and seeing ghosts. And then one night, she sees. One night, she hears bizarre sounds. Goes to investigate, and finds a room with, or I should say, a closet with wax cylinders. Basically, way back in the old days, before they even had records. Yes, that's the time period that this movie is set in, probably 1800s, I'd say. Anyway, she finds a box of wax cylinders, but she has nothing to listen to them with. So, she goes. Blah, blah, blah. Sorry about that. So, and then there's another one where she gets, and then one night she has an experience with the ghost where she gets chased through the halls by the ghost and escapes it through the elevator, in which he ends up going below the ground level. Yes, the level that Tom has told her not to go, into the and she goes into the mines. Excuse me. So she goes into mine where she basically finds these big vats in a box. I shouldn't say that. That's a spoiler for later on. But she finds these big cylindrical containers. And under a chest with the name Enola on it. Yes. But the chest is locked. So well she well after another time where she's chased through the house, just by a ghost. She says that she has to leave, but obviously since she's married, she really doesn't have much of a place to go. So, the next day, Thomas takes her to the post office to fetch machine parts, but they get snowed in, and they stay in the room at the post office, downstairs at the post office, in which we have an obligatory sex scene. And no, sex scene. Yes, of course, because it's well, I shouldn't say obligatory. It is a romance, gothic romance. But anyway, the next day when they come home, Lucia has been making breakfast, and then when Edith tells her that she and Thomas spent the night at the post office, yes, she becomes very agitated, and so agitated, and flips out at Edith. So, yes, and it's also at this time where that Edith notices that Lucille has a key marked E labeled with an Enola on it on her keychain that she carries around constantly. So she steals the key, and while Thomas and her is outside working, she sneaks back down into the mines and opens the chest with the pest labeled Enola, and finds a wax cinder plate. A cinder player, and I'm sorry, I can't remember what the exact name of the instrument, and several letters with the names of several women on them. So he goes and gets the wax. Well, actually, no. Skip. Oh, well, it's here that when Thomas finally gets his machine working. He tells Lucille that he needs a key, but Lucille can't find it on her keychain. So she goes into the house after Edith, and Edith somehow manages to appear that she's just sitting down, and asks Lucille to get her a glass of cold water. So, in which then she returns the key labeled Enola. After that, excuse me. And so that night she goes and gets the wax cylinders, plays them, and one of them sends a warning where excuse me again. Sorry, I am failing tonight. Basically, one of them is one of Mr. Thomas Sharp's past wives. Yes, he's actually already married. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this, but we do see this in a scene back in America where one of Edith's good friends, Alan, a doctor, has asked the same private investigator to dig up more research on Mr. Thomas, Sir Thomas Sharp. Sorry. So Edith goes and gets the cylinders and plays one of them from one of Thomas's former wives, in which he warns that the tea is poisonous. Yes, it turns out. Yes, big spoiler alert. Well, I'll save it for a little later. So yeah, she goes and she tries to escape, but she starts coughing up blood. She starts coughing up blood and tries to escape, but there's a snowstorm outside, and she more or less collapses. She wakes up in her bed, and with Lucille offering her tea, but she rejects it. So Lucille gives her some porridge. Turns out the porridge is poison. So yeah, uh, uh, they now Edith knows everything, and basically, Edith basically the she knows she has to get out, but she can't. So essentially, what happens is eventually her friend Alan, the doctor, comes for her, and basically he comes to take her away. Hey, hey, back to America. Because as it turns out, they've been poisoning Edith too. See? Because as it turns out, well, I should go back to an important point in the beginning of the beginning of the movie. And Thomas Sharp is basically in America to ask for funding from the father's company, but he's failed to raise capital in several other countries, all from which his wives have come. And as it turns out, instead of simply because they can't raise capital all for the invention, they basically Thomas Sharp marries, and then he and Lucille slowly kill their wives. There's by poisoning them, in order to get a capital. In order to get the capital, yes, that the money they need to fund the machines. So yeah, because Thomas Sharp is trying to raise a business is in red clay mining. So even though Alan has come to take her away, he doesn't get very far as Lucille attacks him with a knife, and she tells Thomas to finish him off, but Thomas doesn't, because basically Thomas doesn't like his sister's actions anymore. Basically, Lucille murdered their mother. And so yeah. So Thomas takes Alan, the now wounded Alan, down to the mines, where he's with the big cylindrical containers, which are actually big vats of red clay that have bodies in them. Anyways, so yeah. And then basically, Thomas reveals to Lucille that he's fallen in love with Edith. Lucille can't take it, she kills him by basically stabbing him in the face. Yes. So yeah, and then she flips it out, and and the movie comes to a climax with a fight outside between Edith and Lucille. With with Edith getting a little help from Sir Thomas's and it winds mm, up with her beating Lucille to death with a shovel. How nice, nice, nice. And the movie ends with them heading towards. And the movie ends with them heading towards a crowd coming up to the hall, and then we get a shot of to show that now Lucille's a ghost, and now she's trapped in the hall as well. So, oh yeah, that's basically a Crimson Peak. And now I actually did like this movie, but I think it could have been better. Maybe once again, I had my expectations too high, considering the fact that it was a Guillermo del Toro movie. But I really don't think they should have advertised it as a horror movie when it is clearly not. Also, the ghosts just aren't in it enough. If you're gonna make it a horror movie about ghosts, have the ghosts be in it. The ghosts are only in a few scenes, and they're usually not on screen for very long. I should say usually they're not. Not many of the ghosts, they're not on screen for very long. The main movie or plot is mainly about Edith discovering the hidden secrets of adult of the hall. Well, so yeah, well, I would have liked to have seen more ghosts, since that's basically what the trailer advertised. The trailers made it look like there were ghosts everywhere here in this movie, which again there's not. The ghosts basically just there, seem to be just there to help move the plot along, basically to help either discover certain secrets or send her warnings. So yeah, the last ghost that's on screen. Well, I shouldn't say the second to last ghost that's on screen. In points is the editor of whom we see Thomas is screwing his sister. Her. So yeah, that's Crimson Peak. My final rating for this movie: 6 out of 10. Yeah, it's just above average. I know that some people probably really like this movie, and trust me, it is a nice movie. It's a great movie, but for what it was, well, actually, I'll give this movie as a horror movie, 6 out of 10. That's a scary parts. Bad idea. 6 out of 10. Sorry about that. 6 out of 10. And it has some scary parts, but it was mainly a gothic romance / mystery movie. And don't get me wrong, as I said earlier, I love Guillermo del Toro's works. Hellboy and Hellboy 2. Great movies. But I just think it could have been better. Maybe I set my expectations too high with it being being directed by him. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Oh, anyways, I still think it's worth seeing. So yeah, that's Crimson Peak. And that about wraps up for this video. My name is Sync814. Thank you so much for watching. May the wind always be at your back. See ya!